The U.S. House of Representatives recently passed a $383 million standalone drought relief aid bill. For the House, it was the only farm legislation that was voted on in the final week of July. An earlier proposal to pass a one-year Farm Bill program extension didn't have the votes to be called. Where will the drought aid bill go in the Senate? Nowhere. Senate Leader Harry Reid says he won't call the bill, and Senate Majority Whip Illinois Democrat Dick Durbin says there's no reason to vote on it for Illinois farmers.
Well, the problem is we passed a farm bill, bipartisan farm bill, which has dramatically more disaster relief in it, and said to the House, either give us your version of the farm bill or at least call our bill for a vote, and they refused to do it. They said, we'll give you an interim bill, which is what they sent over to us. The decision was made that we want them to get back to business when we return in the second week of September to pass a farm bill. What we're hearing from farmers across the United States is don't give us a 6-week or a 2-month bill. Do the right thing and pass something. So I hope the House will get back and pass a farm bill. I don't think anyone in Illinois will be disadvantaged for this 6-week period of time, and I'll be watching it closely. In the meantime, I hope the House leadership can roll up their sleeves and pass their version of the farm bill, or at least call ours for a vote.
Can a new 5-year farm bill get out of the House and through a conference with the Senate before the elections? Durbin believes so and says he knows the differences, so it's time to get to work.
But we should get on with it. We need a farm bill that has some predictability. And the bipartisan Senate bill reduced the federal deficit by $23 billion. And we're saying to the House, you've got to match us or better us when it comes to reducing this deficit. It's a serious issue.
Durbin says he's starting to hear from livestock groups that the renewable fuel standard needs to be waived or modified to deal with consequences of the drought.
This is a problem, of course, because the corn grown in a field, most of it is used to feed livestock, poultry, even fish, and then a substantial portion, about 40% of it, is used to produce ethanol. Of course, when it produces ethanol, it still has a byproduct that can be fed, so it isn't an either-or situation completely. Reducing the demand for ethanol, or requirements of ethanol, supposedly would keep the prices more stable and lower and make it easier for people who are raising chickens and hogs and cattle, for example. There's not been an express request. In fact, it's still being debated about whether we need to go to that point. Naturally, those, for example, raising chickens want us to go to it sooner rather than later. But there's a lot of industry tied into this and a lot of national decisions that would be affected by it just beyond that one sector.
One of the other main issues on Capitol Hill has been the possible expiration of current tax code for 2013. Agriculture's been paying attention to changes in the estate tax. A U.S. House-passed tax package on August 1st includes provisions that would keep the estate tax at current levels through 2013. Current tax structure includes a $5 million exemption per person or $10 million per couple mark, and then a 35% tax rate. If House-passed measures aren't enacted, the estate tax reverts to a $1 million exemption and a 55% tax rate. Durbin says we need to deal with the tax structure honestly and address real values of businesses and farms.
So what we need to do is to strike the right balance. Keep in mind, fewer than 0.5% of the estates in America pay anything in estate tax. The vast majority of Americans, 99.9% of them, never, ever will pay an estate tax. And so we've got to hit the right balance where we come up with something fair that reflects current values of real estates and farms and businesses. But we also have to acknowledge, if we're going to deal with this deficit honestly, we can't just walk away from those in the highest income categories. We've got to bring everybody into this conversation.